Is this good? Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. If you've been following us for the last year and a half, you know that the focus for 7th Street Park has been to reinvigorate that space, starting with a children's playground. I am Councilwoman Erica Fareed, and I am one of the sponsors of the legislation that initiated our efforts to get the 7th Street Park going, along with Councilwoman Guillaume and Councilwoman Ferguson, and support from all of the council on this. This was a unanimous approved resolution. So we have the full support of the council in moving forward with this. We have engaged the Neighborhood Design Center to assist us with the design of the playground, as well as helping us to assess the landscape of the park to determine what other types of amenities could be placed in that space. We have gone through an ideation phase where we have engaged the community to provide their input on what they would like to see there. And so this session is the materialization of that. They have taken our ideas and feedback along with the understanding of the topography of that space so that they could present designs for us. They have 2 really beautiful designs, really functional designs, and we're excited for you to see those this evening. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being in the room. There are refreshments for you in the room. And to those online, thank you so much for dialing in. And with that, I will turn it over to Angelica.
bigger children where they have these other things that they can pull all the way back and they can
The swing, yeah.
You know, a lot of kids play on that, and then they have the swings, and then like I said, they have the monkey bars. So I was just wondering if there's a lot, not necessarily a lot, but some stationary equipment there for different age groups.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead. I can take the question.
Equipment is stationary, but I mean, you know, just age appropriate.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, we reached out to Sparks at Play. You want to go to the plan, actually? Yeah, and so like even in this kind of image, you can see, you know, the yellow up there, that's for kind of the 2 to 5 year olds. And these pieces are like, you know, when we say there's like 7 pieces or 8 pieces, there's multiple different pieces to kind of make up the one big kind of piece for like the kids. So like, I mean, in this one, you know, you would probably see like the 2 to 5-year-olds hanging out in the upper right-hand corner, the lower left-hand corner, you know, and the bigger kids would stay in that pink zone right there, which is like, I think it was 8 pieces of equipment, you know, to kind of come together to create like an obstacle course. And in that, you know, there's, I think if you go back to the rendering, can you zoom on this at all?
Is it like a touch screen?
Any of them, really. Go down to the. Oh, so you don't want moving pieces? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, as far as if it's stationary and it may have a moving, like a swing will move back and forth, or that, what is that, like a little carousel?
The little blue thing in the corner? Yeah.
Can I interject? Yes, sir.
There's no zip line.
Yeah. Go for it.
Let's see. So here, right here, you have what you would call monkey bars. This one is for special needs kids. It's almost like a little slide. To your question, there is a piece up here
Yep.
that is almost like that, like you were describing at Woodmore. There's a piece there. Not sure what it's called, but there's a piece there where they get up there and they slide across. As you can see in the diagram. So what these are called, they're called climbing structures. And what climbing structures are, some of us might have had years ago, where they're made to challenge kids to reach, to grab and stuff, to stretch and do things like that. And that challenges them, and it also makes them stronger, it develops them. And so that's what these are. It's just a new version of what we had when we were kids. That's all. It's just a new version. And like you said, it's sort of an obstacle course, because what the kids will do, and what you might not know, kids find a way to climb no matter what. If they can climb a tree, they'll climb it, like we used to do. So it's a good thing. It's a very good thing to have. And like I said, it challenges them to stretch. It challenges them to use their muscles and use their limbs other than just doing other stuff. And so that's actually what you want your kids to be involved in. You want them to be active. And believe me, the imagination that kids have, you know, they do stuff you wouldn't be surprised. I've seen kids try to climb all the way up on the screens, but it's not made for them to climb there. They can't reach it. But they try. They try. So, and like you said, if you could move over to the other one. The other way. See, this one is for the smaller kids. It's challenging them. And then you see here where there's a little game for them to play, and the game is for them to use this. And then you have the tic-tac-toe here, which everybody can play tic-tac-toe. It's an easy game. I'm not good at it, but it's an easy game. And you have your shade structures, and your shade structures are going to protect you from the sun and stuff like that.
And on this point, as we looked at design, we wanted designs that were as functional as possible. So one of the designs that we had looked at, and we said we might not want to do that, was where it was just basically a landing waiting area for the slide. Because we were just like, well, kids are just going to be piling up, not doing anything. Where this, they can climb, they can do some things as they're waiting to go down on the slide. So we tried to make use of as much of the equipment as possible so the kids would have different aspects to play with.
And believe it or not, the kids, what is it, 5 to 2? The smaller kids.
2 to 5.
2 to 5. they're gonna transform to the bigger piece. You're gonna see that happen. Some of them are gonna feel, this is not good enough for me, I want this. And they're gonna transform and start doing that, which is developing them a lot faster. You know, sports, you name it. That right there is the beginning of sports and doing other stuff right there.
And so that's set up for the design, if we can move out past the floodplain. The smaller treehouse design, does that have, how many pieces of equipment do they, is that,
I think it had 7 for the 2 to 5, 8 for the 5 to 12.
Yeah, there's a swing set in there, there's a swing set. So what you have here, so how the bays are done, this bay, you can't have so you can't have an adult swing and a child swing in the same bay. And what they call these are bays. These are bays. So this, I can't hardly see it, but I think this would be for special needs, this would be for special needs, maybe a baby, and this is for small toddlers. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I can't really see what that one is over there. But I'm gonna give you some advice. Ready? I'll tell you a little secret. When you start seeing your adult kids hang out at the swing sets, you know what you do? You change them out to the child seats. Because what we find is with not the bucket seats, but the belt seats. You seen those? They're black. Some people use those seats to train pit bulls. So they swing them, the dog bite it, and the dog will hold on to it. And so if you see these little marks in them, they're teeth marks. So what we learn is stuff like that. If you start seeing that, and you start seeing kids, adult kids hanging out the swing sets, you switch them out to the child seats with the bucket seats, and the kids don't hang out anymore.
I would say though the challenge with that is that the older children, younger children, like the 5 to 12 years old would not be able to fit, my daughter can't fit.
Right. That's one of
So
those.
that would be,
Yeah.
you know, I think we have to have a balance between securing the space, and I know we have an amazing police department, you know, securing that space and keeping it functional for the kids, with that primary focus. So I don't know, and we haven't really talked too much about, security measures, but I would imagine that would need to be part of our conversation as we, look to develop it, in terms of lighting, in terms of, I know we had spoken about potentially placing a restroom there and what would need to happen if that were the case. So I think let's just, you know, stay close with the city manager, obviously, and with the chief of police to ensure that that space remains for its primary purpose, but is also not attracting elements that we're not looking for.
Also, with play equipment nowadays, you could also put surveillance equipment to watch. Also, there's a apparatus on there where it'll light up if you want it closed at a certain time, like say it's closed at dark. People are hanging out, it lights up. It also has not this one, but some of them, you could get that added on where it gives out a high-pitched sound that kids don't like it, teenagers don't like it. And it deters them away from it because it's sound. We can't hear it because we're older, but they can hear it. And so that's another thing that you could do if you decide to do that in the future.
I have another question.
For me? I think I started something.
Come on, Fred. Sit
Yeah,
here.
just sit down over there.
spent a lot of time at the Woodmore soccer field, and I noticed those wood chips that they use, that they come down. The maintenance on those, what is the maintenance on that? How long will they? I know they don't, because the kids are playing. It's not going to stay stationary, but so we would have to go there every day or once a week or whatever. And then how often does it have to be changed out?
Okay, so what I would recommend, and this is what we do,
Thank you.
based on usage, there's going to be some things you're going to have to do. Based on usage, what I would probably recommend after it's installed is that somebody takes a test to be a certified inspector, so they can inspect it. And when I say inspect it, you have to inspect it like based on the usage. Like, I'll give you an example. Watkins Regional Park, we inspect it once a week because of the usage of the playground. Something like that, you have to gauge it. You might want to say once a month. So to inspect it is merely going around doing a checkpoint to check to make sure there's no cracks in the seats, or no cracks in the chains and things like that. As far as the maintenance of it, what I would recommend, every time your staff come to mow the park, that all they have to do is take a fan rake and rake the chips into the low spots. Rake the wood chips into the low spots. So that could be depends on the mowing. If they're picking up trash, they come to the park and they pick up trash, just take a fan rake, rake it into the low spots. And it's fairly easy to do. As far as replenishing it, so the wood carpet is there for buoyancy. It's not there for aesthetics. And a lot of people think it's for aesthetics, but it's not. It's for buoyancy, because most of your injuries they happen due to falls. Broken arms, broken legs, things like that. So it's there for buoyancy. So when a child falls, like we used to fall on asphalt and concrete, it made us stronger. You know, I still have some scars to show it, but the asphalt, the engineered wood carpet it's not mulch. So that's the other thing. It's not mulch. Like you go to Home Depot and get it. It's recommended that if you do the playground, you're going to have to get engineered wood carpet. And there's a couple of companies out there that'll sell it to you. There's Ziegler Brothers, which is a well-known name, and they sell engineered wood carpet. They'll bring it to you, deliver it on site, and you put it in there. You probably would put wood carpet in it every 2 years or every year based on the use. As long as you understand it's not there for aesthetics, it's just there for buoyancy. So wherever you have your low spots, you concentrate on your low spots. And every time you mow the park, because it's going to take, after it's all set and done, after it's in, it's going to take some maintaining, just like a car. You have to do a checkup, you have to do this. So every time they mow the park, it's easier to come in there and rake the wood chips into the low spots, meaning the low spots where they swing, because people use their feet and they swing, and you see the low spots, and so you rake it in those spots. Every time they pick up trash, rake it in the low spots. It's easier. As far as the inspection part, it'll save you, because you do an inspection, the inspector says certified that it's okay to use, somebody gets hurt, you go to court, there you go. The inspector has everything. You got to keep records. So there, with playgrounds, there is some stuff you have to do.
And I know that we've spoken about this, I'm shouting, I think you're on anyway, that we've spoken about this, Mr. Simpson, about the maintenance that would be required and how that would need to be factored into our annual operating plan.
It's not that expensive at all. You could fit it into your maintenance program fairly easy. The main thing is like checking chains and checking bolts, because when you first put it in, and it's like a car, it's a little break-in, so you got to check. You make sure you check that stuff. I'll be more than happy to help y'all get certified playgrounds. Give you the information so you can get certified. Yes, ma'am. Got a question, though. You're going to be the first to play on this playground, right?
Well, that is one of
WB&A Trail? Yeah.
WBNA trail, so it would be a good, thoroughfare now, I mean, it kind of is now, people can walk through there now, but it would be more, it would be more of a sanctioned, walkway, if we could do that, and that would be part of our stormwater management, program. Ideally, we have some sort of permeable pavement or something that does not kind of soak the water as the path that would lead through.
And if you're trying to achieve that, maybe in the near future, to reach out to Park and Planning Commission and see what they can do, partnership with them, because that's what we really want to do. We want people to walk these trails. We want people to be able to leave out your house, sort of like it is in Columbia. Columbia is a big trail. You go to Columbia, it's a big trail. You walk out your house. And so we want people to get on these trails, and that'd be a perfect idea to try to bridge that gap, to connect it somehow.
I have a question. This is for a landscape designer and architect. When you do the playgrounds, I notice there are no benches in the playground area, but are you proposing that the adults that are accompanying the children would have a seat outside of the playground area? I didn't see it in the plans.
It's an add-on.
It's an add-on.
It's an add-on that we can provide. If you look at all the different color outlines, those are the fall zones, so all the benches would have to be outside of the fall zones, but there are opportunities around the area, at the entrance, back here under this proposed landscape tree over here. So there are opportunities and pockets for benches. It's just not something that that we provided in this illustration, but it's definitely something that we had a conversation about. So once the floodplain is delineated, we can nail down the design and provide a final design that includes all of that, trash receptacles and whatever the city feels comfortable with maintaining.
Now, you can't put those inside, you can't put trash receptacles inside the play area
Right, I understand.
at all. It has to be on the outside.
Right, I understand that. The other thing, and piggyback off of that, is the landscape design that you developed. Is this just schematic and it's not really,
It's just,
budgeted, it's not budgeted?
it's conceptual. We can provide a budget for it, but we really want to get the shape and size nailed down based on the floodplain, and then we can provide a landscape plan and talk about plants and other amenities.
Right, because I was thinking the shading might be incorporated with the benches some kind of way,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But that's just what I observed from looking at your drawings.
And to that point, the county actually has a planting program, Growing Green with Pride. It happens in the fall of every year. That's something that you all can apply. Can you hear me? That you all can apply to get free plants. They have a plant palette with perennials, shrubs, trees, mulch for you all to kind of receive.
I sit on the board,
Oh.
Yeah, for me,
the state board.
that's a hard thing to get trees from that board too.
You can get it, just write it up.
It's a lot of work.
No, just write it up.
Okay.
Plant your trees in, so, not to sidebar you, but if you're gonna write it up so you plant your trees in the fall. Therefore, you don't have to worry about watering or anything like that.
Right.
Just plant them in the fall. And you'll have a 90% success rate of them living. You don't wanna do it now, you don't wanna do it spring, always the fall.
Right. Okay. Good.
Was there a question for me?
No.
Oh, okay. Any
Yeah, so we don't have a concrete timeline yet. I think the first thing is the floodplain delineation. From there, we can establish a more concrete timeline. Julie, do you want to kind of share a little more about kind of playground implementation and how long that might take after we figure out the floodplain? I think you said about next year, sometime early next year.
You
If-
don't need to make any commitments, I know Julie said.
Oh,
Just don't make it, okay, so we have the floodplain assessment, and that's not really something that we could control, but just in terms of the typical timeline from, if you got the perfect land and you know, from that point, the permitting process I know could be timely, purchasing and implementing the playground, typically how long does that take?
That's such a double-edged sword right there. I'm gonna fall on.
10 years, 8 months?
It really depends on how much you talk with CPJ and spur them on for the floodplain delineation. And then after that, if they want to continue to be partners with you to take you through the park and planning process. And like he said, you know, if you partner with park and planning, that can move things along quickly. I'm ballparking year and a half if everything runs smoothly and you get some good partnership with park and planning and DPI. It's just the permit process usually takes 60 to 90 days for review. And then if there's revisions to that, it could take an additional 30 to 60, and it just starts stacking up. And then once you obtain the floodplain, you have to go get the woodland conservation exemption, which is another 30 to 60 days, and it just all starts stacking up. Playground manufacturers say lead time is 4 to 6 months from when you place the order to delivery. So that kind of gives you a timeline. Like you would have to order in January or February if you wanted it in the spring. But that's if you get all your plans approved. So
They have to make them. They have to make it.
So how do we go about establishing that great partnership with Parks and Planning?
Well, what I would do is reach out to Director Tyler. He's the director. Reach out to him and just have a conversation with him.
Thank you, and you said, is there a particular commission to speak to about that trail, and that's your board management?
Well, he's the director. He can steer you in the right direction. You will probably have to go through PP&D, which is our park plan and development. But he's the director, so he can, tell you which avenue to go.
So we'll do the best we can to expedite this and get this moving. Obviously, there's much more involved to having a park than just buying a playground and putting it down, as I had hoped. So, let's just make sure everything is done right as well. We want to make sure it's a safe space. We want to make sure it's safe equipment. We just want to make sure everything is done correctly. So I think we're moving in the right direction. We're actually looking at some, visualizations of what it could be. So that is much further along than we were even 6 months ago. So thank you so much for all of your volunteer work on this. We truly appreciate it. We would not have been able to do this by ourselves. So thank you for guiding us through this process and continuing to partner with us. Did you have any closing comments?
Yeah, the only thing I will say is if you want to fill out the survey or want us to go back to the QR code and for you to scan it, feel free to scan it and fill the survey out. That gives us information that we can take to finalize the playground designs for you all.
Well, I don't want to be repetitive, but I will be. But I just wanted to say thank you so much because wonderful. So for those in the room, we have refreshments. Maybe if you could bring up on the screen the different design options so people could kind of get up closer to it and see it while they socialize and they can ask some questions. And you can please enjoy some hip hop chicken from our, it's an establishment here in the city of Winter Garden. So we have some fried chicken wings for you, some candy yams, macaroni and cheese, and green beans, so, and french fries. So please help yourself. We know that this is during dinner time in the middle of the week, so please, you know, help yourself.
Thank you all for having us today.
Yeah, hello. May I be able to speak? Hello?